Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Now there's been a new update for Automobilista 2 version 1.5 and every Tom, Dick and Harry is banging on about it. So I thought I would jump in and try it for myself. Now, I'm not going to look at the DLC, I'm not interested in that. But Reza have said there's been a huge update to the physics and I want to see if it drives better than it did. So no messing about, let's just get into it. So McLaren GT3 and Long Beach. Now obviously this looks absolutely spectacular. Nothing's changed on that front. AMS2 is hands down the best looking simulator on the market today. But it's always lacked a little bit on the driving side for me. It's always felt a little bit floaty, a little bit too slidey, and a little bit vague. But I can tell you, in this new update, oh boy, have things changed. I could tell immediately, as soon as I jumped into the simulator, that this was a much better driving experience. I'll tell you why. The cars still move around a bit, they will still slide, but the biggest difference for me is how the car feels at the front end. Now, there's a definite feeling of weight in the car. When you're hard on the brakes and you're turning in, there's a definite feeling of weight transfer from the rear of the car moving forward. I could never really feel that previously. That's the biggest difference for me in this new update. And the cars just feel a little bit more planted. They do still move around a little bit, as you saw there. Cars do move around a little bit. But it feels more planted, feels more responsive than it did. It feels like it's connected to the road surface. Like there where the speed increases, it's not a sharp turn, but you can feel the weight of the car. Couldn't feel that before, or I couldn't feel it before. It always felt a little bit vague, a little bit disconnected from the road surface. But now I can feel all the bumps better than I ever could. It just feels more connected to the road, and as a result, it feels like a much better driving experience. It feels a bit more realistic. Not that I've ever driven a GT3 car, but I've been driving cars for 30 years nearly. I know how a car feels on the road. Been driving at speed for a long period of time in my adult life, in my previous occupation, so I know how a car feels at speed. I know all about weight transfer and how the weight transfer affects the stability of the car that you're driving. And it feels realistic to me. It feels realistic. There's still... I've complained before with Automobilista 2 about the braking, and especially the last phase of braking when you come into a stop. Now, there has been occasions where I've thought this car isn't making this turn, and it has, and it doesn't seem as bad now. It really doesn't seem as bad now. Before, the controls of what I did with my pedals, I didn't really feel that had a massive impact on what the car did. Whereas now, coming off the brakes, trail braking to the apex seems to be more rewarding now. The car seems to do what I want it to do based on what I'm doing with my pedals. Whether that be trying to induce a bit of oversteer on corner exit to get some rotation, whether that be trail braking a little bit further into the turn just to get that rotation, I just feel that I can influence now what the car does, whereas before I couldn't, or it didn't feel like I could. It might just been, you know, a practice thing, not driving the simulator much, but having jumped on this today, and I've done a few hours messing around in various different cars. Been driving the old German touring cars, been driving the GT1s. I've drove a variety of different cars. I haven't driven the trucks. Who does? So I've driven a variety of different cars, and they all feel the same. They all feel better. There's a much more of a connection between me sat here in my rig and what's going on screen. When I'm approaching a turn and when I brake and start to turn in, what I see on screen is what I feel through the steering wheel. And I never had that before. It's just a connection. Brilliant. It really is superb. Now, if Automobilista 2 can just fix the online side of things and get some kind of competitive multiplayer experience, I think this could be up there. Definitely up there. It feels a bit like R-Factor 2 to drive. It's more planted than iRacing, but it feels a bit like R-Factor 2, which is a good thing. R-Factor 2 drives brilliantly. And this reminds me very much of R-Factor 2 with the way it handles now and the way it feels through the steering wheel. There's still a lot of things to fix with Automobilista 2. I'm not particularly keen on the front end and the options and how you configure triple screens and all that kind of stuff. Not really a fan. But all that can be tweaked. But the fundamentals of the driving experience now are better than it's ever felt. Genuinely better than it's ever felt. And I've drove the supercars around Bathurst, which was incredible fun, and again it felt like a race car. Previously I just jumped into the supercar just to go sideways, just to slide around whichever track I jumped into. But now the big V8 supercar feels like a race car. It still slides around and does what a V8 supercar does. But it feels like a race car. It feels pointy. It feels like it's connected to the road. Same as this, GT3. Obviously GT3s is probably the most popular series online. And if AMS2 could nail a competitive online service, then I think ACC certainly would struggle. I really do think ACC would struggle. This performs better than ACC, looks better than ACC, and drives much better than ACC. I mean, this isn't here to bash ACC. I'm trying to think of what Automobilista could be if we had that online ranking system. I don't think it would ever compete with iRacing. The user base is far too big. The selection of cars, licensed cars, is far too big for AMS2 to compete. But I think it could certainly compete with the likes of ACC and R-Factor 2. Certainly. It's got everything I want in a simulator, apart from the online side of things. Let's turn the TC down a bit, can we? Well, I haven't configured a button. Bang. Have I? Yes, I have. Just see how it feels with the TC down to number 2. Should still slide around a bit more. Yeah, it's a little bit more tail happy now. Fight it down another one. Still very, very stable. Nothing like it used to be. If we turned the TC off previously, it would have been all over the place. It would have been like a drift trike. Whereas now it feels planted. The rear feels as though it digs in when you get on the gas. I'm so impressed. I'm so impressed. Really like it. Really like it. I think we're quicker on this lap as well with the TC down. Oh no, 2/10 down. Brilliant though. Brilliant though. Absolutely incredible. I think Reason have done an incredible job with this update with the physics. I'm not going to go into all the DLC and all that kind of stuff because all I'm interested in is the fundamentals of the driving experience, the physics, how the car feels, and is it better? And let me tell you, oh, it's better. It's better, alright. So there we go, that's a few laps around Long Beach in the McLaren GT3. Now, as I mentioned in the video, I did try several cars and several different tracks, and they all felt much better than it used to. It's definitely feeling more of a driving simulator than a Simcade title, which is what it used to feel like for me. It always looked pretty, but it didn't feel like a driving simulator. Now, it's took a huge step in the right direction. As I mentioned, if Reza can sort out the online side of things, or if LFM stepped up and took over, then I think we as sim racers will be onto a winner. Let me know what you think of the update down below in the comments. As always, thanks for watching. Have a great week. See you later. Cheers.